welcome to the Zach and Kyle podcast. I'm Zach Halperin.
Kyle Floyd.
That's Kyle Floyd, as he said. So this is episode 2 of the podcast. If you caught the first one, Kyle added like a cool little intro music to that, and it had like a little design that said Zach and Kyle. That was pretty sweet. I don't know how he did that, and we've said previously we were of Game Managers, which was voted the best 6 to 8 sports show on Wednesday nights. So
yeah,
that's a good show. But Kyle, did you watch the Pats Broncos game Sunday?
You know, I of course, yeah, I caught the game.
Of course.
Man, really emotional game as a Pats fan, but a good game. You know, it really was a good football game. And I think the thing I liked most about this game, Zach, was that there were penalty calls in the game, but no calls late that you would really be pissed off at. Not like, the refs decided this game or anything. It was really up to the players at the end, which I like.
The only calls that people really seem to talk about were early on a couple PIs, possibly on Gronk, which I didn't really get to see those. Like, I had just missed both of those. Like, I just looked down.
They were touchy plays.
They were touchy. There was one near the end of the game that it didn't become an issue, which I'm happy about. It was 3rd and 10 when the Pats were on their last drive, which we're going to get into a lot of. Gronk was in the back of the end zone, and Brady just threw it up. I think, it just went off the defenders.
Right.
Gronk was covered by Talib and a couple other Broncos, and Gronk thought he deserved a PI on that. But yeah, I don't think that was.
No, it's one of those things where it's like there's a bunch of guys there, and
exactly
maybe have their arms wrapped around the body, but anyway, the refs couldn't see that, and it's not going to alter your catching it that much anyway. So.
Yeah, Talib barely had his arms around him just like that for a second. So Gronk, I mean. That's the thing, though. If you kind of freak out and act like it was an obvious play, pass interference, and that the ref, you missed the biggest call, there are going to be memes on Twitter about you, then the ref is like, do I need to call it? It, puts pressure on them. So I guess I understand players doing that, but it does annoy me sometimes. It's like, Gronk, that wasn't even close to a pass interference.
It wasn't blatant or anything.
But anyway, were you surprised that the Pats lost this game? Because I thought the Pats were going to win.
I wasn't. I said this last week. I don't know if you remember saying it. I was not. And the thing that pissed me off about this game, Zach, is these friggin' announcers, okay? It's the way they frame this game. It's the way they frame this game. Everyone coming into this game was underestimating the Broncos. Just because Las Vegas gives them a couple points, everyone comes in underestimating them. No one wants to talk about how the Broncos are the number 1 ranked defense in the NFL. No one wants to talk about how bad the Patriots' record is in Denver.
2-6.
No one wants to talk about the Patriots' injuries. This friggin' defense was so good. And what pissed me off is several times in this game, I think the Broncos were up 14-6 or something. You get these announcers. Phil Sim comes on. He says, "I don't think anyone expected this start. You couldn't fathom this team having a touchdown lead on the Patriots.
Well,
they're that bad."
Well, Jim, I spoke to Peyton Manning, and he said he's going to come out in the second half and just take the snap and roll over, which is basically what happened in the second half.
They really gave no credit to the Broncos. Look, Peyton was not anything exceptional.
No, he was good in the first half. He threw 2 touchdowns. The first one, Owen Daniels, was, I just looked up, he was wide open.
He was.
That was easy. The second one was a pretty nice floater, and I think it was to the corner of the end zone. Besides that, in the second half, Peyton was literally on his back where the Pats had the ball.
Yeah.
He couldn't get anything done. But, I'll give him credit. He managed the game pretty well, to use our old term. But he wasn't anything special. I knew the Denver D was good. I had them in fantasy this year. No, I didn't even know they were that good.
No.
Kyle, they blitzed on, I think it was 16 or 17% of plays. That's way lower than the Broncos usually blitzed. And they got the most pressure that's happened in the NFL in 10 years. Brady was knocked down 23 times. 23 quarterback hits, which was since the stat started, or I forget, maybe since 2006, the most of all time. And the Broncos barely blitzed. So they were getting pressure with 3 4-man rushes. It was Von Miller, DeMarcus Ware, Malik Jackson, and Derek Wolfe. Those guys were getting all the pressure. You didn't need to send linebackers. You didn't need to send nickel corners. You didn't need extra pass rushers, backup offensive outside linebackers. It was just Von Miller, DeMarcus Ware, and they were just guessing the snap count. And I guess a lot of people think that the snap count had to do with being in Denver because the Pats had to use a silent count. I want to hear your thoughts on this.
The crowd was really
well, wouldn't the crowd be really loud anywhere? Everyone was like, "Oh, specifically Denver." Is that a thing?
I guess the commentators, everybody thought the crowd was pretty into it, but it could be that much of a thing. But let's talk about this defense. It's got to be a combination of how good this defense is, and it's a piecemeal offensive line as it's been for most of the year. For New England, they've had 13 different combinations. I think it's twice as much as any other team. Obviously, Nate Solder, their number 1 guy, went out 3 or 4 weeks in. But this defense was ridiculous. As you said, 23 knockdowns, most, of course, by any quarterback this year in playoffs or regular season. And
Most in years.
Most in
I think
years.
it might be the most all time.
So it was ridiculous. I mean, there would be plays where I'm literally looking around. Brady kind of had the time maybe to scramble around, but you're looking downfield. There's no one open.
True.
No one.
And he never had time to even find someone.
Correct.
It was. But when you're right, when Brady did get a second to breathe, nobody was open. Denver's coverage was unbelievable. Stewart and Ward the safety. Stewart got knocked out, and then Roby came in. But Ward played well. He's the one who knocked out Gronk in 2013. T.J. Ward on Cleveland. He ended Gronk's season, but he was a safety. He played well. The corners, Chris Harris and Talib, lockdown guys. The only one who did anything in the receiving game was Gronk.
Yep.
And even Gronk was, he was guarded pretty well.
He was guarded by two or three people almost every time.
The catches he made, he had 6 receptions for 100 yards going into that last drive. He ended up with 8 for 144 and a touchdown. Those last 2 catches, it was perfect defense.
Zach, these last 2 catches, as hard as the game was to watch, it's like, this is what you want to see in this game from these players. And, for any other quarterback, any other tight end, this game would have been over like 3 times, and it wasn't.
It was unbelievable.
It was 4th down, you think it's going to be over. Another 4th down, you think it's going to be over. And then you see arguably the best quarterback and tight end in the game ever prove why they are.
That lob pass to Gronk, 3 guys chasing him or 2 guys chasing him, tailing him. Perfect ball from Brady as he's being hit. And when he threw it, it was 4th and 10. They're down 20-12 right at this point. And there's no settling for field goals. I heard on the Cousin Sal, Bill Simmons podcast, they said, well, it was right before 2 minutes you could have hit a field goal. If they kicked a field goal on that last drive on 4th and 10 and Denver got a first down and the game ended, Belichick would never hear the end of it. So I totally understand the Pats going for it on all the 4th downs, but obviously the last one. Perfect pass to Gronk as he's being hit. I didn't even think Brady was throwing it to anyone. Like when he threw it, I was like, oh, he's just heaving it up.
Is this the one in the end zone?
No, this is the one that Gronk caught with 2 guys on him.
Yeah.
Like, just when he threw it up, it looked like he didn't even know he was throwing it to. And then you look, you're like, oh no, like Brady has Gronk. And then the catch from Gronk, you saw the replay, the ball almost squirted out from his knees.
I don't know how
Unbelievable catch. And then we have the 4th and goal. The first 3 plays, nothing. They couldn't get anything done. Just incomplete. And then that 4th down, how does Gronk stay in bounds?
I don't know.
The big guy's nimble.
He just weaves in between 2 guys and just comes in and grabs it. I just couldn't believe it. I thought the game was going to be over, 2 times before. Right
when he caught that ball, so then it's 2018, and we're getting ready for the 2-point conversion, and I was just like, people I was watching with, I was like, wait a second, he stepped out of bounds, right? Like, that's going to be reviewed. And then I was hoping he didn't, because even though I wanted the Pats to lose, I wanted a good game. Yeah, I wanted it more intense. So I'm looking at the replay. I'm watching his feet. I couldn't believe I stayed in bounds. It was amazing.
It was nuts. It was good from good players. We talked about how Denver's defense did well. Patriots defense did really well also. I know
That's true.
It was against Peyton Manning. They were able to get him later in the game, but for the most part, they were able to stuff the run game and keep Demaryius Thomas, Emmanuel Sanders down. Jamie Collins had a fantastic performance. Something that really hurt the Patriots that hadn't necessarily hurt them too badly in previous games was just complete lack of a run game. Period.
Yes.
After losing Deion Lewis and LeGarrette Blount earlier in the season, they've had to have guys like James White and Steven Jackson come in, who is just so friggin' old at this point. And other than the 1-yard touchdown run that he was able to accomplish in that game, neither of those guys could get any traction. And for the Patriots defense part, Denver's runners couldn't do much either until late when C.J. Anderson did break up a couple big runs.
The 3rd and 1, right, where he broke a 35-yard run.
But the Patriots lack of run game hurt them so bad because they were basically wasting almost every single first down because they committed to running the ball once every 3 downs.
They were committing it. They were running on first down a lot.
They were running on first down a lot.
But this is the thing. See, I feel like you could have just abandoned the run.
They should have.
Yes, but they weren't using the run when they should have. Like when they had, what was it? Okay, remember the 4th and 1? The horrible 4th and 1 play action call? That play call was terrible. So some people thought when the Pats had deep in Denver's territory, about 5 minutes left, they have a 4th and 1 from about the 12. Some people thought they should kick it and play defense, which in hindsight would have worked because then they got down there 2 more times. Instead, though, they go for it. I'm fine with that play call. I'm fine with the decision. The play call was terrible.
You think
play
so?
Horrible.
I thought it was a nicely drawn up play.
play
I just think
action
the defense
lob?
was so good.
No, Kyle, a play action lob.
I've seen him do it before to Edelman.
But it's
I've seen him do it
4th and 1.
before. I don't care. It's more creative than trying to take one of these mediocre running backs and go up the middle.
But you at least want to throw it in where he can catch it for a first down. He caught it and lost 2 yards.
Yeah, he caught it because the guy read it absolutely perfectly.
So don't throw the ball then. Like make
Most defenders they go up against are not competent enough to read that play.
Okay, well then they should have known that. It's been 3.5 quarters, and Denver's D's been perfect. Their coverage was amazing. They should have known. Like, on that 4th and 1, it was too long for the sneak, but, like, that's where I would have done, like, a shotgun Bolden run. Maybe make them think that, get 4 receivers spread, put in Bolden, or you can throw it like that. I just thought the play action there was ill-conceived by Belichick, who got out-coached all day, by the way.
He did, pretty much. I think a lot of it was also just, as I said to many people, the personnel on Denver's sideline. I mean, on their sideline as well as on the field, just outmatched the players on the Patriots side. But I do agree with what you said, you like the play call. I always side with the coach who goes for it on 4th down. It's not a
I like the decision.
Loser to kick
I like
a
the
field
decision.
goal. I do like the decision. But again, both teams were essentially wasting almost every first down they had because the running back could not get anything. And so you're starting all these drives basically 2nd and 10 automatically, because these running backs couldn't do anything, but they had to try to do something to keep the pass rush honest somehow, even though it wasn't really working. But pass rush is just able to get to Brady consistently.
So one thing, I interned at Felger and Maz, so I was there yesterday. Felger and Maz, it's like the Boston sports radio show. And one caller was like, well, what about wide receiver screens? And I thought that was a good point. So the pass rush was coming out like that. You can't run the ball. Brady has no time. I understand that Brady's good versus the blitz usually. Because he gets the ball out quick. But 1, this wasn't even a blitz. They were only sending 4. So, and 2, they were getting to him almost immediately. You got to draw up something. Maybe a screen to Amendola, a screen to Gronk even. I just thought the James White, those wheel routes, terrible.
Well, look,
terrible.
James White's not Shane Green last year, and he's not Deion Lewis either. I don't think he's capable of completing this.
That's what I'm saying. I don't understand. I don't like that's why I don't like the coaching. I don't think that was smart. Brandon Bolden had a wheel route in the regular season for like a 45-yard touchdown. If anyone's doing it, it should be him. James White had 16 targets. It's just mind-boggling right there. It makes no sense. James White shouldn't be that big a part of the offense. But I'm just thinking, with the offensive line, I don't even know what you could have done. Marcus Cannon was getting beat by Miller and Ware so easily. Sebastian Vollmer looked like he was still injured a bit. So if you're the Pats, Kyle, like what would you have done on offense to stop that attack?
Like I said, I'm not an offensive strategist. I saw in this game, I saw a defense and defensive players that were simply better than the offensive players on the field.
I don't know if
it's one of those things where it's like, I don't know how much better the coaching could have been. These players were simply better, and they were just better executing in general. Clearly, the defensive line made the Patriots' offensive line look like children the entire game. The Gostowski missed extra point. A lot of people are going to talk about that. Obviously, he had hit like 500 in a row, but and that's just something. It's like every play, there's all these little plays in the game you can go back to that lost the game. And something like this, I'm one of those individuals who believe that if something different happens here, if he makes that extra point, then the whole game is somewhat played differently. So the exact same things don't happen where you end up in the same situation. But of course, it's another mistake made. Well, he came out and hit 2 other big field goals.
I totally agree with that, saying that if he makes it, the game changes. First of all, Gostkowski, since the extra point moved to 33 this year, 49 of 49 on the season. So unprecedented that he misses it. You can't blame him and say, Steven Gostkowski is the reason they lost. He did play a part in it, though, because when you miss that extra point, then Denver scores, they go up 14-6, whole different game. Because now, even if you score, you get to 12, which they didn't. They got a field goal when it was 14-6. But what does Belichick do? Does he go for 2? Does he get the field goal? And that Pats team going for 2 against that Broncos defense, we knew they weren't going to convert at the end of the game there. So that was just, that missed extra point put them in a huge hole. Yeah. It matters. It doesn't seem like it does. And a lot of Patriots fans are saying it was kind of an omen, that it was a weird day. Yeah. I do feel that. I'm not that type who's like, there was like a curse or anything. But the feeling while watching that game, when Gostkowski missed, the feeling was, this is strange. Yeah. And Denver's defense was aggressive. Belichick chose to receive the kickoff. I don't know what that was about.
I don't know what that was about either. Yeah. Defer.
He never does that, right?
No, he always defers.
He always defers. Yeah.
And the way the Broncos offense wasn't playing exceptionally or anything, so I think they could have had a good chance to get back into it in the second half if something happened there. But what else? They forced Brady into a couple of interceptions. One just ridiculous play by Von Miller jumping in front. Another forced bad throw by Brady. And that goes back to, Brady just feeling like he has no options, feeling pressured by the defense, and making decisions like that. And I kind of like that Brady's not one of those quarterbacks who's so passive that he's not going to take risks sometimes. I mean, he threw 2 picks in the Super Bowl. He still came back when he needed them most. But it's just a tribute, again, to the Broncos defense that they put him in such uncomfortable situations that he felt like he had to make those kinds of throws.
You got to give a little credit to Brady, though, because when he was getting killed with that pass rush, he was getting that ball into the ground. Like, he wasn't taking sacks. Broncos I believe they only had 3.5 sacks.
Yeah.
Which is incredible.
Yeah, something like that.
Von Miller had 2.5 sacks. Von Miller had an interception, as you mentioned, which was a bad throw by Brady. It happens. When you're getting crushed by that rush, like, eventually you make a bad throw. And he wasn't necessarily pressured too much on that exact play, but what a job by Brady when he was getting like pummeled by the rush in the third and fourth quarter, to get the ball away and just throw it away. He's the smartest quarterback in the NFL. He knows if it's 1st and 10 and we're trying to get down the field, we're down 8, I can afford to throw it in the dirt rather than take a risk, try to make a play. I'm probably going to get sacked or something bad's going to happen. So I just wanted to give him props on that. 2 more points I thought we should bring up. One, the third quarter, the field position for the Pats was horrible.
Oh my!
The entire
now,
time.
was this just that Denver's punting was so friggin' great, or was it that?
I think it's a combo.
What else was it?
It's the punting and the fact that when the Pats got the ball, they'd be pushed back or they couldn't move.
Every single time they were either starting on the 20 or the 10 or the 5 or the 1 or something like. And you just can't initiate your offense, especially against this Broncos defense, when you're afraid of getting a kafety or something like that. It killed him.
I heard one guy said they should have taken the safety and then swap the field position, because then you can the safety kick, you can kick it to the 30 or something.
Yeah, no, it was crazy.
But Ryan Allen, their punter, he wasn't kicking that well.
No.
And Denver was getting the ball at the 50. Peyton didn't have to do too much on the second touchdown drive.
At least not too much to get even a field goal.
The second touchdown drive was a short field because of the Von Miller interception. The field goal was a short drive. At least one of them was. I think maybe one was a 10-play drive.
Again, Patriots did a pretty good job of, when Broncos did get good field position, of holding them to field goals. That was impressive. But one big personnel change after this game, offensive line coach for the Pats already fired.
I saw that. Dave DeGuglielmo.
Not a big surprise. I mean, maybe, almost impossible to try to get things to work against that defensive line and with, piecemeal offensive line, but still you got to try to game plan something, and wasn't able to do it.
I just don't know how Cannon can't know that Von Miller and Ware are anticipating it and just turn his body.
Yeah.
Be ready for the pass rush. That's a hard word to say for some reason. But I also wanted to talk about, so the third quarter, then it was 14-6. The entire third quarter was the Pats were starting at their 10, the Broncos at the 50. They're just going back and forth. They trade field goals. It was a waste of a quarter.
Yeah.
Because now they're down 17-9. So the Pats are down 8, which once again goes back to the Gostkowski extra point, because down 7 is so different than down 8. Even though it sounds kind of stupid, it's true. I want to talk about when they're down 20-12, their last 3 drives. So first they get down, they have the 4th and 1. So you agree they shouldn't have kicked the field goal on the first one?
I mean, after the fact, it's easy to say.
It's easy to say
they should have kicked a field goal because the Broncos' offense was stagnating at that point. But at the same time, I really love that quality in a coach, that they're willing to go for it and they're willing to trust their offense. But, I'm sure people are going to point to it later. I think either way, I would have been fine with it, really. I don't know.
See, my thinking is, so the first one, it's very difficult because every decision is affected by the previous outcome. You can't look at them in a vacuum. So the first decision was the 4th and 1. Now getting 1 yard it shouldn't be that hard, and you're down 8. So it seems go for it. But because there was 5.5 minutes left, the field goal ended up being the smarter decision. So then you go for it, you don't get it. You get the ball back down later. Now there's 3 minutes left. But now it's a 4th and 6. So now you have less time, which means you have more incentive to go for it because you have less time to stop the Broncos. But now the 4th down's longer. And coupled by the fact that you got no points on the last drive, if you had 3 on the last drive, you still weren't going to take the 3 anyway.
Yeah.
So that 4th and 6 was the key to me, because even if they took the 3 on the last one, you were going to go for that 4th and 6, and then you don't get it. But that's the thing. If they got the 3 on the first drive, they went for the 4th and 6 and still got nothing, they would have won after the last drive. So everything's hindsight, but you know what? The Broncos were the better team.
They were.
The defense was unbelievable.
Simply, the defense outpowered them.
The coverage, the pass rush, the tackling, it was a tremendous unit. And then we had Carolina, Arizona, which was a complete opposite game. The Panthers dominated that one, 49-15. Carson Palmer looked terrible, 4 interceptions.
Looked awful.
Cam Newton ran all over the field. My boy Jay Stu with a classic 19 for 72, just so reliable.
Oh man.
And then Philly Brown, or I think he goes by Corey Brown now. I actually just threw a touchdown to him in my Madden franchise, won my first playoff game, no big deal. But Corey Brown had a long touchdown, I think 85 yards. That Carolina team, man, they got weapons on weapons.
Yeah, Ted Ginn, man, he can return.
He had the
rush
touchdown.
punts.
Oh,
He can receive. He can do everything. Cam Newton played out of his mind. And then the Carolina did to Palmer really what Denver did to Brady, except Palmer's not Brady, so they didn't really stand a chance of staying close.
Carolina just beats on teams, though.
Yeah, they did.
They don't win by 10. They literally kill teams. They crushed Green Bay, who made a little comeback, but they won. They crushed Seattle.
They comeback,
Seattle.
but they won.
Yeah.
In this game, there was no comeback.
Arizona, no comeback. They crushed them. I saw some people like chirping the Panthers because of their schedule, but we could put that to rest, right? Like, they're amazing.
Oh yeah,
They're 17
very good,
and 1.
very good. Cam Newton's unbelievable.
Like, they might be one of the best teams of all time. That's not crazy. They're 17 and 1. They're blowing teams out. Their defense is incredible. They move. They don't have huge names on offense besides Cam and Greg Olson's a semi-big name, but they just move the ball. They score. Like, you don't think I can
They're
say
good.
that?
No, they're good. I want to see him win the Super Bowl. Speaking of which, let's preview this a little bit. The Super Bowl.
Okay, let's preview the Super Bowl.
We got like old age versus new age. It is like literally Peyton Manning. It's like
can't move versus
one era
around
against another.
Okay.
The guy who doesn't move at all. The guy who moves all over the place. The guy who's completely coming into his prime and one who's far out of it. But
this is tough.
It's going to be a really good game. I think Carolina's going to win. I want Denver to win. Just because I think a guy like Peyton Manning deserves more than one Super Bowl on his resume. I think the Panthers are going to win because the fact that the Patriots were able to keep it close in that game with not an exceptional defense. I mean, they had a good defense.
And offense.
Right. And I don't think it was anything like as special as Carolina's defense. I think Carolina with a much better defense, dynamic quarterback who can maybe evade the pass rush a little bit, and more creative options on offense can overcome Broncos team. But hopefully it's a good game.
I don't know. I think I'm kind of the opposite of you. I think I kind of want Carolina to win.
Yeah.
I feel like they deserve it. Cam's about to go into his prime. Even if Peyton wins this Super Bowl, I don't think it really affects his legacy if they win or lose. Is that controversial? I feel like a lot of people think
look, I mean, 2 Super Bowls is always
two's better than one. Two's better than one, but if he loses this game, they're not going to be like, Peyton's a choker, Peyton can't win in the playoffs. That's kind of already what people
they're not,
say.
unless he throws 3 picks or anything.
If he has a horrible game,
at this point, what Peyton needs to do is not. And what he did in this last game is he didn't hurt his team enough. He didn't hurt his team. He played well. He played safe.
But it's different.
He's not going to get blamed if he does the same thing in the Super Bowl. But if he goes out there and throws 3 or 4 picks, obviously.
But that's the thing. Carolina defense. I don't know if Denver can win with him having that performance. I think he might actually have to get down the field a little bit because I'm not sure.
Him throwing the deep ball in this Patriots game did not look good.
Well, the Pats were sagged off the receivers early in the game. I don't get that, by the way. They were sagging off, and they were getting first downs on 3rd and 10 with 11-yard passes because Peyton can't throw deep.
That's the way the Patriots usually play, and they're willing to give up. They're willing to give up everything between the numbers.
But he can't. He literally can't move it down the field. So why not just dare him to kind of throw over the top? He clearly can't do it.
Yeah.
But I kind of want to talk about Carolina offense versus Denver D. I mean, I think the Panther offensive line is pretty good, so they'll have to test it. Yes, they will. I'm sure they'll do a better job than the Pats offensive line, but still, if there's a lot of pressure on Newton, he can at least get out of the way a little bit, whereas Brady's kind of locked into that pocket. And one play, by the way, going back to that game real quick, where Brady, he thought he was being pressured, but he wasn't, and he had Gronk on the right, and he did this weird move, and he had the ball, and he just jumped up. And he just threw it in the dirt. Gronk was open and he had him.
That was mental.
It was because they were in his head. It was
weird.
He
thinks there's got to be someone in me right now.
Yeah, I can't wait for this. Kuechly versus Von Miller. Von Miller versus Cam Newton, the number 1 pick, the number 2 pick in that draft.
It better be a good game.
Oh, I think it's gonna be.
It really better. I don't want to see some crap like I saw.
It's not gonna be a
Broncos, Seattle, and that Super Bowl.
A lot of people are I saw a meme on Twitter. It was Broncos, Seattle, and then they crossed out Seattle logo and put the Carolina logo. I don't think so. I think it's going to be a good game.
Broncos are a little more balanced this year.
Let's give some score predictions, though. And then we'll see next week if we still have, the same opinion.
Yeah.
I'm going to think about this, though. So you like Denver to win, you said?
No, I like
Carolina. You like Carolina. Sorry.
I want them.
You want Denver. I'm thinking it's going to be something like Carolina 20, Denver 16.
I'll go a little more high scoring. I'll go 28.
28?
28 Carolina, 24 Denver.
They're not scoring 28 on Denver's team.
We'll see. Then I'll be wrong.
I guess. But anyway, let's transition to a little NBA talk.
Yeah, let's do it.
So we had a huge game last night. Warriors Spurs. Everyone thought it was going to be a close game, that the Warriors would be tested. They weren't. Steph Curry made Kawhi Leonard look really silly on Twitter.
Curry's out of his mind.
Yeah, he's really good.
He was like 10, 14, 5, 6 or something from the Eagles. Nuts.
Good dribbler. Decent shot.
Yeah, he didn't have that ball handling when he came into the league.
That's very true.
And he just worked his butt off.
He also was way skinny. I mean, he's still skinny, but like he was a twig when he came into the league.
Yeah.
I don't understand Curry. It's like, are we ever going to see this again? I don't know. You don't think so?
What? As good a shooter?
Are we ever going to see someone as good a shooter and ball handler and passer?
I don't think it's likely. I mean, a lot of kids are going to probably aspire to be like Steph Curry coming up, try to do all the same things he does.
Is there going to be a movie like Curry?
Well, I was actually thinking about doing like an experimental documentary called Being Steph Curry, where you take like an individual, fairly athletic individual, and just, drill them for like 3 years to do everything Steph Curry would have done to become who he is, and see if you can actually create an athlete that way.
I'm going to pull a Simmons Cousin Sal stable here. I actually, there's a new movie coming out. It is like Curry. It's a lot of people thought it was going to be like Mike. You know that movie, right?
Right.
Except Steph Curry,
serious?
something with his shoes. Excuse me.
Are you serious?
Yeah, but it's not that. It's just about a guy who really likes to eat curry. He's Indian.
Okay.
His mom makes the best curry in the town. So that's not what I thought it was. But that movie's coming out soon. You definitely want to see it.
No, yeah. But Popovich super blunt after the game.
What did he say again?
His team, he
said, it was so funny. He was like, if my general manager was in the locker room, I might get fired too.
No, yeah. Probably because what he said.
That was about LeBron,
rated
right?
his team.
That was about LeBron, right?
I don't know.
It was, right? I mean, it was, right? I'm pretty sure that's what he.
No, I thought he was referring to like his language in the locker room would probably be so bad or something like that.
No. He was saying like, if my GM was in the locker room, I think I would have fired. Yeah,
okay,
it was a LeBron joke.
I get it. That's funny. No,
great segue, by the way. David Blatt fired from the Cavs by LeBron James or not by LeBron James?
Definitely
the
by
question?
LeBron James.
No, it's not a question.
It's kind of embarrassing for that front office because they don't want to admit that some athlete has power over them, but kind of does. I mean, LeBron's a more powerful individual than anyone.
I kind of feel bad for LeBron in a weird way because I feel like he needs to stay in Cleveland, and if he doesn't win a title in Cleveland, like for the rest of his career, his legacy is going to be really tarnished by the eyes of many. But I feel like he's stuck now.
I don't think so.
You don't think so?
LeBron cannot win a championship. He can't just decide to win a championship. So that's the thing. You have to.
I'm not saying that.
No, but I don't see how it can be put on his shoulders. He's.
But it is being put on his shoulders.
Right. I don't think it should be.
But that's the way it is.
He's playing out of his mind. He can't just make the other players.
I agree with you, but that's the way it is. That's why I feel bad for LeBron. He's stuck in this situation. Kevin Love puts up good stats, but he's not really a championship piece. He doesn't really fit with LeBron, okay? They don't play well together. There's no one around him. Tristan Thompson's a good rebounder. Kyrie's been back from his injury. He's been pretty good. But do you think that team could beat Golden State? I don't.
No.
Do you think they're going to 100% make the finals? I don't. I think the East is really good.
Who else in the East are you putting up against them?
I think, let's see. I think Toronto. Damari Carroll could D up LeBron.
DeRozan and Lowry.
You don't need like a big to like body Kevin Love. Jonas Valanciunas will be healthy on Tristan Thompson.
I think
you'll get a stretch four on Love. Kyle Lowry's an unbelievable point guard. DeMar DeRozan can score. How about Toronto? Then we got who else do we got? I think it's an isolation.
I think it's another thing they get in the finals. They just get blown out.
Which is a failure because if LeBron doesn't win, he's looked at as a failure. I'm not saying that's fair.
Yeah.
But I'm saying I feel bad because he can't leave Cleveland or like someone might try to kill him. Like, what if he leaves Cleveland? He's a free agent after this year. Do you think it's possible that he just leaves?
No, because that makes him leaving Cleveland would make LeBron's legacy look worse than if he stayed and did not win any more finals.
But would you blame him if he left Cleveland? I wouldn't blame him.
I would because he made such a whole friggin' big deal about being the savior to this town and city, and it makes him look like an idiot.
That's fair.
And it makes he loses all credibility.
He should have just not done that, or just not done the decision. But now we're getting too much in the past. But yeah, he's kind of stuck in Cleveland.
I mean, where's he go? If he wants titles, he should go to Oklahoma City. All right, then all those 4 guys can win as many titles as they want.
James Harden's still there?
No, I'm talking about Durant, Westbrook, Ibaka, and James. You put those 4 together, that could be.
But if they had kept James Harden.
Yeah, if they kept James Harden, the Thunder would have like 3 championships by now.
I'm trying to think other NBA Eastern Conference teams that could potentially beat the Cavs in the playoffs. Like, dude, I wouldn't be shocked if the Bulls could upset them before the Eastern Conference Finals. I don't really see the Bulls.
Have been up and down.
I don't see Chicago making the finals. But if they faced off in the Eastern semis, Jimmy Butler and LeBron going at it, like with Pau Gasol, Rose, Noah, if Noah's healthy, they have other guys. Doug McDermott's pretty good.
You know, last year when there was a certain point when Cavs, were not quite there yet, and they added a couple pieces. They added Smith and Shumpert.
Yeah.
I feel like they need to do something like that this year. Like,
when's the trade deadline?
They're not there yet. I'm not
February
sure.
Something.
But I feel like they need a couple pieces because they're not competing obviously at the level of Golden State. And hey, maybe no one's gonna compete at the level of Golden State. Maybe they just are that good and they are gonna win the championship this year and maybe a year after. They're just they're unbelievable. They're unbelievably deep. They're great shooters.
Yeah, it's almost like it's really made the NBA. It's weird because I was very into the NBA earlier this season. I'm not really watching that much anymore because I know Golden State's the best team by far, and I know they're going to make the finals. And also, I don't get HD with TNT on my TV, and I want to watch the Golden State throw that around.
I don't think I do either. It's pretty ugly.
Like I can't watch it. I sound horrible, but like I sound like a snob, but like I can't really watch.
BU neglects some of the TV stuff and whatnot, but
yeah, I guess.
But no, what was I gonna say? NBA.
Draymond Green.
Draymond Green's.
He should be starting in the All-Star game. That's
he
BS.
Should. Look, the All-Star game. Say what you want about it. If you want to look at all NBA team, if you want to look at a better measurement, like you look at All Pro and NFL instead of the
Kobe's an All-Star.
It's stupid. It's fan stuff. It's entertainment stuff. Who you want to see, and that's okay. Or whatever.
I disagree. I don't think it should be like that though.
But they have these other measurements, Zach, that represent more of how good of a play you are over the years.
My argument is this.
Why one can be kind of a fan thing and the other be a legitimate thing?
The argument for the All-Star game, like keeping it the way it is it's what the fans want. How about we make the fans smarter though? Like, how about
we show them? Like they don't know what they want.
Yes.
They don't know who the best players are.
So
they can't know
who you want.
They can't know what the best game is because they have these distorted. Like
it's
Zaza,
like 7-year-olds voting for Kobe.
Getting in.
No, don't talk about Zaza Pachulia. That guy's putting up 10.6 rebounds a game in Dallas, and his name's Zaza. So that's kind of funny. But they don't even know who they want to see. They think Kobe. 7-year-olds walking around think Kobe's good. But if we show them, hey, like there's these other good shooting guards like Jimmy Butler in the East, who could be a starter, or who in the West should be starting over Kobe at shooting guard? I guess Harden. I mean, I could probably name 15. How many shooting guards should be starting over Kobe? Like 15? Would he be like the worst? Or 14 ounce, I should say.
One thing talking about David Black getting fired.
Is he coaching the All-Star game?
I don't know. I think it's so. Look, I don't know what's the thinkings behind it, but I think some of these firings are so impulsive. Things that you think the organization needs to do.
You're wrong.
But seriously, the people come out after people come out afterwards, and David Black was in over his head. David Black can't coach.
He wasn't over.
Of course he can coach. Okay, he's in the friggin' league. Half these coaches don't even matter. Okay, Luke Walton took this friggin' team to. I don't know what the record is. It's amazing. Okay, and then Steve Kerr steps in. What if they started losing? Should they replace him with Luke Walton? They probably should. All right. No, here's the truth: is that the coaches hardly matter for crap. There's tons of quality coaches out there, tons of people who can do these jobs. All right, and it comes down to putting the right players on the court. These guys have nothing to do with it. Something to do with it, but not that much.
Couple things. I agree that some coaches don't have a lot to do with it, and some do. But I think that fans and the media think that they know way more than they do. Like they'll be like, that coach is good, that coach isn't.
Absolutely.
We don't know.
Absolutely. Only the people in the friggin' organizations.
Exactly. Or the players.
Only these people on the teams, these idiots who go out there on ESPN and try to.
Oh, they're horrible.
These commentators during games who try to tell you what a player's thinking. Isn't that the worst? Like he's just thinking about that. No, he's not. You don't know anything. You don't know what he's thinking
about Friday Night Lasagna. Like, let's be honest. That's why he made the free throw.
People have to do stuff like that to raise their credit.
When Popovich gets interviewed by Craig Sager, I cringe so much because Pop clearly really likes Sager, and he's like, Sager had cancer. He comes back. He's like, yeah, like nice to see you, buddy. But then Sager, like, oh, God bless him. He asks the stupidest questions, and then Pop just like is like, did you just ask if I'm happy that LaMarcus Aldridge and Tim Duncan have one shot made each after 3 quarters? No, I'm not. Like, they ask them the stupidest questions, and Pop, I just love how he calls them out. I feel bad for Sager when he does it, but it's hilarious.
But if you watch any sporting event, you see halftime, you see post-game interviews where the questions really, they make you feel stupid as a coach. They really do. What do you have to do during halftime? All this stuff, or what do you guys think? it's just kind of belittling. It's a thing. Again, it's for the fans, so you can kind of connect with what's going on. But for these guys, they don't need to waste their time doing that.
It's like I just said with the All-Star, make people more intelligent. Ask questions like, hey, Pop, like, why'd you switch to his own defense or something? Like, let them explain things to you. When people ask Belichick, like, actual football questions, he'll usually answer. Although he hasn't answered the question.
I mean, the most disappointing thing is when you turn on, like, a pregame show and analysis or something on ESPN or whatever, CSN or something like that, and you see someone sit up there who you don't understand how they're getting their salary because they're saying things that any fan could go up there and say. I love when I hear, all this jargon and I have no idea what they're talking about as far as scheme and all this stuff. I mean, that is, that's the level of reporting and, analysis that should be done. Some of this stuff is just so, unworthy of having a career of, personally, an air.
I agree. But back to the coaches stuff real quick. I think Blatt had to be fired because, like, LeBron, it wasn't working with LeBron. We all knew that. Who cares if they fire him now or 2 weeks ago or 2 weeks in the future? Everyone's like, oh, they're doing really well. They're going to be the best team regardless. If, like I said, if it was a month ago, whatever. He needed to go. It was clear that it was about time.
So he's not working with LeBron, so LeBron just got sick of him?
No, LeBron and him haven't had a good relationship the entire time.
What if they'd won the finals last year? I mean, they got there.
What if they had won the finals? I would say that to have won the finals, they would have probably needed to be a more cohesive coach-player combo because the Warriors were that good. That would be my answer.
Okay, because I'm saying, like, if Tyronn Lue, takes them to the finals and they get beat just as bad by Golden State.
But that doesn't mean that LeBron and Tyronn Lue have a bad relationship.
That's true, but I'm just telling you the relationship doesn't make a friggin' difference if they don't win. Who cares?
True, but
You're just making LeBron happy, which is okay.
No, but the relationship can help you, though. You're telling me it can't affect it?
It can.
You're saying it doesn't make a difference if they win, but they didn't win.
Right.
Okay?
And this guy comes in his first game, he loses, he plays some, he plays some fast-paced offense, which they're saying isn't like a LeBron thing to do. There's the team, like, shut up already.
Yeah, I agree. That's a little, like, come on.
They better keep this guy for the rest of the friggin' year, okay? Regardless of how many losses they pile up, because it'd just look awful if they did. You know what I mean?
So, any last thoughts on, we want to talk about The Bachelor, right?
Bachelor.
Oh, Bachelor. Great show.
No, I started watching it.
Applying. I got to do my hair.
And I'm kind of like sick to myself, like watching the show. I'm like, I always used to insult people who watch this show. I'm like, why am I watching this show? It's really intriguing.
I watch it for the comedy.
It's hilarious. It's interesting. You're just like, you can't really believe the scenarios that are going on, the way these people think. I mean,
that's not how they think. It's scripted. That's why it's interesting.
No, part of it is how they think. These people some of them are lunatics. All right, some of them are out of their minds. I saw a couple of episodes of Bachelorette when you were telling me to watch some of that. I think it's funnier because the guys are out of their friggin' minds.
What about the girls? The one, Lace, she just left the last week or something.
No, that girl was, oh my god, she had some psychological issues. She had some psychological. There's a girl on right now, Olivia, and the only reason
is she the blonde? She's blonde, right? She's crazy.
The only reason she's being kept on is because the friggin' producers have kept her on.
Yes, that's what
you can see when this guy picks her to stay. He's like, oh.
Yo, that's why we have to make this be Bachelorette parody, because then in our parody, the guy will be like, Megan, you get this rose, I have to, Christian Harrison's in the back making me. Like, we can literally have, like, spot-on dialogue. Oh, man.
No, but you can just easily pick out some of the girls that have problems, and they're not, but there are a number of them, who are good-looking, who are nice, who haven't, picked fights with other people.
But why are they on this show? You're 24
That's
years
the
old.
best question. You see, you know they're not normal people. You know they're not good people because they're on the show in the first place. And if you thought this is how you make relationships and this is how you find love and this is how you find a husband, if you were sane, you wouldn't be on the show. So there's something missing that you're not seeing.
Are the twins still on it? I haven't watched in 2 weeks.
No, well, I just watched episode
22.
I just watched episode 4 today. These friggin' twins went on this show, which is unbelievable in the first place. That was a scheme from the producers as well. You think these people are nuts? They're going after the same guy. They're sisters. You want to ruin your whole relationship for the rest of your life? Do
Bro,
this.
It's all fake.
Yo, he sent one of them. He went over to their house. He sent one of them off. He told the mother about like all this stuff. It was all emotional. And he sent one of the girls off.
What do you mean? Like she got kicked out?
Yeah, he sent one. He just said, I'm picking this twin over the other twin. He did like privately, but but dude,
they should have done a 2-on-1 date. Is that what they did?
That's what it was.
They did a 2-on-1 date.
And he kicked the one off. Wow,
Chris Harrison. I want to talk about Chris Harrison, the host.
He's a really piece of work.
He is a scumbag. I just want to say this because I'm like a Bachelor guy. Like I always tweet about it because I think it's funny. And when I was younger, I used to like watch it like with my parents and stuff, and like I actually was like into it a little bit. And I thought Chris Harrison was hilarious when I was a kid, and I still think he's funny. But I just want to make it known that he is a scumbag because he gets paid $50,000 per episode to literally just manipulate people for the sake of us laughing, or not laughing about it, for the sake of people watching it and thinking it's real. We laugh at it because, yeah.
I'd love to see how real it is. I mean, there's got to be so much manipulation from the producers, but
I'm sure. Do you think there's got to be a script?
I think there's a script. Apparently, it's not as scripted as people think. I've read some articles about it, but they do make suggestions.
Then they just find the stupidest people possible.
Things. But yeah, I mean, all these girls are so friggin' shallow. You listen to these conversations, and it'd be a miracle if they could complete a sentence. And when they do complete a sentence or a phrase, you think about it in your head, and there wasn't any meaning to it.
Well, that's from the beginning to the end
of the phrase. But it's really unbelievable. I think I already know who's gonna win. Super cute girl. She's nice.
Because
she's the most attractive one.
You can look it up online before the season starts.
Oh, I didn't do that. Then I wouldn't watch the show.
Well, my friend Carly did that and told me during the first episode.
Don't tell me.
I don't even remember her name.
All right, good.
I was like, I don't want to know, and she whispered it to me, and then I was like, thanks, Carly. So if you're watching this, have fun in Italy.
It's crazy. It's and the thing about these people, when they get kicked off the show, they're so beat up. They think the fact that this guy, out of like 20 or 27 or how many people, the fact that this guy did not pick
their self-worth is done.
This one did not pick me out of all these people means that I am the worst person in the world. I'm a failure. Because and they think they feel upset when they see him making connections with other girls. You think it's possible that when you're dating someone with like 20 other people that might happen? Yeah, but
and it gives guys and girls a bad perception of what like dating is like. Like, because I know girls that watch it and they're like, oh, like this is like so wonderful, and I'm like, yo, that's not how real life is. So stop. They'll be like, oh, like I love Ben. Like you don't know him at all. Like the girls come in from the limo and they're like, I think me and Ben are meant to be. Like you just said hi to me.
So these people don't even talk about anything.
Like if I went up to a random girl on the street of Com Ave and I was like, I think we're meant to be, or if I was like, I think my future wife is on this strip of Com Ave, they would say I'm a lunatic.
Yeah,
but if you say it on this show, it's normal, apparently. So
and like I said,
a
lot of these girls are super good looking. They seem nice enough, but you just think about the fact that they have somehow not been able to find a nice guy. It's off the show.
No, it's not even about not being able to find someone. Because a lot of people like don't have a boyfriend or a girlfriend when they're at a certain age or whatever. To me, it's the people that are under like 27 that are on the show. Like just live like a normal 20-year-old.
That's right. It's a delusion that they think they need to go on this show.
Or they just do it for fame. I don't know. There was this guy Wes like 7 years ago when I used to watch, who made the top 4, got kicked out, and then in the limo he was playing his like guitar and he was like, I have a girlfriend at home. It was hilarious. I thought it was funny.
Yeah, it's really something to watch.
So I guess our what to watch for the week, to bring that back. Got the Bachelor next Monday. You got the Super Bowl a week from Sunday, so we'll talk about that more next week.
Pro Bowl next week.
No Pro Bowl. I'm not watching the Pro Bowl. I'd rather watch. I don't know what other shows are on, like comedy.
There's a new show on Showtime called Billions. It's Damian Lewis from Homeland and Paul Giamatti. It's a financial crime thriller, so that's a good new one I would check out. What else we got? I'm
trying to think of some good fake show idea names. Like the one I had, like Curry. The guy. It's just him eating all the time. It's interesting. Yeah. I'm watching The Wire still, season 5, episode 2.
Keep with it.
Wait, I thought you never watched it.
No, I didn't. But I'm just saying, there are a lot of people out there who are turned off by the idea of going back and watching an old show.
Why?
The shows are timeless, all right? If a good show is timeless, you can watch it whenever, wherever.
Well, I'm not the kind of guy to go back and watch like a black and white show. Like my grandma used to always be like, "Oh, watch this movie." And
right. I don't know any black and white television shows.
But like I'm saying,
what I'm talking about, shows like The Wire, shows like The Sopranos, you can watch this stuff.
But your tone of voice when you're like keep watching it, it made you sound like you're this like old wise guy who's watched it like 6 times. So I'm just saying.
I just don't want you to give up. A lot of people start watching these things.
I'm in season 5. I'm on the last season.
All right, so you've watched for a while.
I've been watching for a month. Yeah. She's proud of me, I guess.
It's good. Up your episodes per day.
Last thing, I did stand-up comedy last night for the first time. Kyle was in attendance. Thank you. Any tips for next time?
I don't know.
Any comments on the show?
I would just say, it must be so hard for you to remember your sequence of things you're talking. Because I think every contestant you go up there, at some point you slightly lose your train of thought of what you're going to say, and maybe there's a gap sometimes in there where a bunch of stuff you're going to talk about kind of goes out the window. Yeah. That must be the hardest thing. Like, if I were going to do it, and I want to do it, but the way my schedule works out, I don't know if I could. But the way I'd bring a list up there, and I don't care if people laugh.
Well, that's the thing.
I want to know my points I'm talking about. It's not, I don't know my jokes on there, but I want to know what I'm talking about.
I didn't know that you were even allowed to, and then the first girl who was up there had a piece of paper, and I was like, God damn, I could have printed something out. But you know what? I looked cooler than I did.
Yeah, you did. You had a good start, good finish, which was really important. I love the LinkedIn thing. That was hilarious.
Thank you. Yeah. So if I endorse you, I'll save the joke for the video. Check out the stand-up video. Zach Halpern, Facebook. You can also check out Red Cup Sports for your entertainment and sports articles. Anything else we got to plug? I don't think so.
Check out Zach and Kyle podcast this
Zach
week.
and Kyle podcast episode 2 right here. This one that we're talking about that we're recording. WTB Sports. It's sportswtbu.com. Next week, hopefully, we're going to have some Terrier sports updates to sploose in here. I'm not sure what we can use as a visual, but we could find something on Google. We're going to have like a minute update of audio with a couple of the guys talking about Terrier sports. We can maybe do an NFL pro sports thing as well. I don't know. I'm talking too much, but that'll do it here. Zach and Kyle podcast episode 2. I'm Zach Halpern. He's Kyle Floyd. We'll see you next week.
See you.